Social network is a dedicated website or other application which enables users to communicate with each other by posting information, comments, messages, and images. Nowadays, more and more people use social network and have an account on it, like Facebook and Twitter, Instagram. In 2013, there are 2.3 billion of internet users in the world. Can we consider social network as a new weapon in our modern society?
Social networks provide opportunities for reconnection. They make it possible to communicate and to maintain relationship with old friends from high school or former boy or girlfriends that we had not had contact with in ages. The social network Copains d'avant has 13 million users. Indeed, one main facet is its emphasis on creating new relationships. With social networks, we can meet more people than we might normally meet in a usual work week. For example, 1 out of 8 couples married in the US meet via social network. Then social networks allow for quicker communication. They are allowing us to connect and to share with more people more rapidly. Thanks of the many couples who have shared the wonderful news of an upcoming wedding or birth on Facebook. In this way, social networks serve as a quicker phone to share information. Each day, 350 million photos are shared on Facebook. Furthermore, more friends we have with social networks, more attractive and more important we feel. Indeed, they strengthen our feelings of membership and existence within the community.
Psychologists have started to define terms like social networks addiction in their reports. Social networks can be so addicting that people, especially youngsters, don't want to spend time with anything else. They live their relationships in a virtual world. People often choose to talk to each other via mobile phones, Skype, or communicate via Facebook because they may be afraid of getting to know each other face to face. However, by doing this, they are missing out on the partner's facial expression or the gestures that the other makes. Psychology experts have also noticed that more and more marriages are breaking up. The internet users can have access to the information emitted by their spouse or their friends on the internet and the messages of the other persons emitted on the wall. This wide broadcasting of information can deteriorate the lack of confidence and the truth of treason. Moreover, couples are not communicating with each other as they should in real life. They sometimes even break up on Facebook and other social networks. Another downside of our social media relationships can be that our successes feel diminished and our failures amplified because we generally compare ourselves with others. With the enrich of so much information about how other people are living their lives or conducting their businesses, it's easy to feel that we can compete. We might also feel some pressure to demonstrate a certain person, as we know that people are always watching us. To see the happiness of others engendered jealousy and some frustration.
Since social networking sites appeared, the way of sharing information changed. People express themselves as they want. It could be for news in brief, without high importance. Ask for an opinion about a serious subject in real time, when, where, and whom you want to. At this moment, companies understood the huge opportunity they have. Coming in a virtual society with no rules make business. Social networks became a new tool for marketers to their target, which means us. Indeed, businesses are always looking for a better way to attract us and sell their products. Social networks are the new communication between them and people. Consumers can then give their opinion, share their impulse buy, suggestions, or even if the product disappointed them. Brands are now omnipresent and must answer to the consumers. They need to keep listening to them and to try to keep a good image online. Moreover, consumers are using more and more social networks to discuss about their favorite brands, whereas the face-to-face communication is in decline. They appreciate when brands respond to their comments, which know that digital world is the key to their success. Social networks transform the marketing industry. Otherwise, another field took advantage on social networks. Politic topics are also a part of the information shared every day on it. People are more involved in politics. They found a voice to express themselves. For example, the marriage equality topic has been a debate all around the world on it. Social networks contribute to influence political decisions. In the opposite direction, in the United States, more and more politicians use social network sites as Facebook and Twitter, 80%, whereas in France they are less abundant, around 22%. This new presence changed the nature of the relationship between citizens and elected members. Americans took now part of public political debates and their opinions are taken into account, which permitted to give rise to a direct speech. Nowadays, politicians understood that it's necessary to use social media to change the way of communicating in a society in constant evolution. Social networks permit people all around the world to express yourself in a free way without borders and limits and to be seen by everyone. This is why it was the main tool for activists to communicate during the Arab Spring. Before carrying on, let us remember the definition of the Arab Spring movement. We owe this designation to a series of events which took place in the Arab world. The motivating factor has been the death of a disparate Tunisian by immolation. Then people started walking down on the streets to protest against the government. During this period, being anonymous was essential for them when they knew that the government could be spying them. Also, it was one of the best ways to motivate and recruit citizens to change the situation by being numerous. Communicating in this way, demonstrators don't know they were not alone and so they were not afraid anymore because some of us shared their opinion, and also because similar or worse things were happening in the world. This tour also took place in Los Indignados movement and the 99% from the Occupy Wall Street protest, both inspired by the Arab Spring. Los Indignados took place in Spain, where people started to manifest against the economic system and to claim better social conditions. This movement was inspired by the famous essay Indignez-vous by Stéphane Hessel, of which the main idea defended is that indignation is the spirit of a resistance. Then the movement won USA with Occupy Wall Street protest in which people manifest against the capitalism system, income inequality and wealth distribution that constitute the 1% against the rest of the population, which is the 99%.
Was made by the internet. I mean, it was a group of activists, but it was basically expanded and really, I don't know, it was like a shot of,
All these movements have in common the inspiration of proclaiming their discontentment, convincing people to take part of the movement, and they have made a strong impact so well that media talk about it all over the world.
Social networks are a new weapon in our society, we can't deny it. But we can say it is a spying weapon. Let us show you how. First of all, concerning jobs. When you apply for a job, you should be careful if you have a Facebook, Twitter or another social accounts. Nowadays, almost all managers are checking this kind of accounts if they want to hire someone so as to see if it's a good applicant or not. In fact, with social networks, manager can see photos, videos, piece of information, comments, everything which shows how you are in the real life. A serious person or a party animal one. With this information, they make their own mind up. That's why sometimes they refuse someone because it was considered not enough serious for a job, whereas private and social life shouldn't be mixed with the professional life. Most of the time, our behavior is not the same when we are with our friends and when we are at work. We tend to think that this difference isn't taken into account enough at work for an application. And all of these social networks are just a way to help managers to see who you are and if you are a good applicant or not, to keep a close eye on you. And most of the time they don't work in your users' favor. Then, concerning our consumption behavior. Actually, most of companies are looking for social networks in order to know the behavior of the customer, to know them precisely so as to provide them what they really want. For companies, social networks are clearly a spying weapon due to the fact that it helps them to design and adapt the product to their customer. Thus, we can say that for companies, social networks are a way to create a link, a relationship by spying their clients. If we take into account this point of view, it's not a dangerous tool, that is to say, it's just a tool which allows companies to do their business the best they can do. Social networks are amazing at the first sight because you can find friends who live abroad, you can share status, photos, videos and other stuff like that with your friends. But unfortunately, it is not all the truth. First, those virtual friends mustn't get mixed up with your real friends because you don't know them really. They could be some evil-minded person who just want to spy you in order to know better your life and to steal your goods. Sharing information with your virtual friends can be really dangerous for you, for your family and your private life. But each of us are responsible of what we share on social networks. It's easy to see and prove that social networks are a new way to keep a close eye on everyone's That's why don't trust anyone, above all, people you don't know, because you can never know everyone's intention. Besides, you should be careful with the information you are giving to these social networks, because everyone can read it and know your life even if you don't know those people. Your data can be revealed to everyone, including the government, terrorists, crooks, pedophiles, voyeuristic people, and other evil-minded people. This review is quite frightening, but social networks are the open door to everyone, good as bad people. This is a new spying weapon. This way, if you share everything about your life on social networks, don't be surprised if you don't have a private life anymore, because it will be your fault. There is no way to protect well your data on social networks, so don't write everything about you. Otherwise, that shows that if you want to keep a close eye on somebody, social networks are the good way to know what you want. For instance, you can know a lot of information about your neighbor just with Facebook, even if you never talked to him before. Nevertheless, this custom should not be done exceptionally because you are suspicious of something or because you are attracted by someone. In order to explain in concrete terms, we will give you an example. In Iran, social networks are considered as the way of intelligence gathering, the most dangerous and the most disgusting of USA in Islamist country, according to the public speaker YJC website. Indeed, it said that because Facebook causes the divorce of 1 out of 3 couples in Iran, the husband or the wife spies all the time his or her spouse in order to know what he or she does all the time. In this country, social networks are considered as an immoral spying weapon, and authorities want to ban this website to keep a safe life. This example shows well how social networks is a real danger for our private life.
It is strange to consider the fact that software developers and social network creators are in a real life not really very social. Most of them are shy people who like to stick to their computers and do not create lasting friendships. Social networks are little by little imposed in our daily life, influencing our behavior, our attitudes, our opinions and beliefs. In that way, they appear as a new influence and spying weapon in our society used by our governments. We could see during these last years more and more community citizens which use these social networks as an expression weapon when their government use them as a weapon of propaganda and repression. Moreover, we saw these social networks interfere in our intimacy and caused numerous divorces, numerous situations of conflicts, and responsible of the lack of communication that we know today. Nevertheless, also the fatal and negative effects of the social networks, which are nowadays recognized and demonstrated, this many pop up and to hold a place which will be soon inescapable.